Starting to get in more of a summer-like pattern. These storms that we've been having, they are more summer-like storms. They're these big systems that just kind of roll through, usually
just a lot of rain,
evening and overnight. I know there is a lot of rain, but man, some areas needed it and some still do. Now we could certainly use a break, most of the state. I mean, look at what we've been seeing over the past 10 days. Not a whole lot here in Oklahoma City. Plenty though out to the west, picking up 10.9 in around Butler, 8.99 around Hinton, and 4.79 in Minko. So you can see that swath where we've had most of the rain over the past several days. But so far for the month of June in Oklahoma City, we've actually had quite a bit, and we're a little bit above average for the month. But here's the thing, we're not completely out of the drought just yet for western Oklahoma. This does not take into account all of what's happened the past couple of days, but we've really put a dent in it since last week, obviously. But we still have that extreme to exceptional drought out in the Panhandle. Good news, we are expecting more storms, especially for that part of the state here later this evening. So right now, we've got lots of sunshine out there across central, northern, eastern Oklahoma, but quite a bit more cloud cover out to the west and to the southwest. And that's going to be increasing a little bit here later this afternoon. So kind of going with a mixture of sun and clouds. We already have some storms out in Kansas, but all of the data kind of brings these off to the south and east, and eventually they fall apart before even trying to make it into Oklahoma. So this is our Enid camera, part of our Pike Pass Skycam network. Blue skies. It's beautiful. It's nice and warm. 78 degrees. The south wind coming in at 10 miles an hour. Temperatures in the upper 70s to around 80 to the north, and kind of the same thing down to the south. It's just several degrees cooler where we do have that cloud cover out in the Panhandle. So a southeast wind between about 10 to 15, gusts highs around 25 to 35. In the Panhandle, but everything else is just going to be pretty quiet for the rest of the day. So we've got the storm system out to the west, and that will be moving through late this evening and overnight tonight. Some of the latest data really is slowing this down a little bit. So for Oklahoma City, we're going to be fine today. I don't expect anything this afternoon, but storms should be moving into the far northwest. It looks like between about 7 to 8 o'clock, and this is where they're going to end up around 10 o'clock. So even by 10 o'clock, really not expecting anything, even in shower terms, really in Oklahoma City. But I think that will happen around midnight or a little bit after, moving into the west sides of the metro. And as they move into western and southwest Oklahoma, I think they're going to start to increase a little bit, not only in coverage, but I think the severity will go up a little bit as well before eventually they're going to lose some of their steam. But the coverage is going to become a lot greater as they move to the south and east. We're also going to have another complex of storms moving in out of Kansas into far northeast Oklahoma as well. So two different storm systems. Today, looking for a high of about 83 degrees in Oklahoma City, close to about 90 down to the south. For this evening, I think storms are a lot more likely out in the Panhandle. Eventually, they're going to make a run for the northwest. And then overnight tonight, it's going to be a lot more likely in the west and southwest for scattered showers and storms, but still a pretty decent chance we'll at least get some rain in here. Not all of the data does bring in a bunch of showers and storms in Oklahoma City, but right now I'm leaning towards the chances looking pretty decent. But as we get into tomorrow morning, I think most of the storms will be in the far southeast and far eastern half of the state, while it will have already come to an end, I think, in Oklahoma City. But later this evening and into tonight, as these storms kind of roll through from the north and west, and then eventually we've got the other ones to the north and east, there's going to be a low threat for severe storms. We're talking about up to golf ball size hail, so that threat's going to be just a little bit greater in the south and west for the larger hail. The wind gusts upwards of around 65, maybe 70 miles an hour. I think would be on the lower end of that if it does make it into Oklahoma City. Temperatures dropping down into the mid and upper 60s for most of us tonight, and then tomorrow afternoon we're going to be dry, partly cloudy, and it's going to be hotter. Temperatures climbing into the low 90s in Oklahoma City, low to even some upper 90s in the west and southwest, holding on to the low to mid 80s in the far east. And then on Saturday, we're dry. We're looking partly cloudy. The wind's going to be picking up quite a bit out to the west, and temperatures climbing back into the 90s, looking at 100 degrees in Guyman. But I think we're going to hold steady in the low 90s here in Oklahoma City. But I cannot say the same for the rest of the weekend. It does look like by the time we get into Sunday, it could be extremely hot with temperatures climbing into the upper 90s and kind of hanging out around there for a few days. And then by next week, I think we're going to be wishing we would have more storm chances.
Right.
Got a slight chance here and there. It doesn't look all too great, but it certainly does look like we're trending a lot warmer.
Yeah, the pools and the lakes are going to be busy this weekend.